It's. Oh, really. All right, I'd like to call to order the March 20th, 2023 meeting of the zoning board of appeals. We've got 6 appeals in front of us. Actually 5 appeals, 1 administrative review. I will take them in the order that they are on the agenda. Mainly, normally I would switch it around, but the first 3 were with us last month, but we did not have a meeting because we did not have a quorum. So they couldn't get a positive vote, and that was our fault. So I will take them in the order that they're in. 2341 GWB Services Class A use variance request. Somebody here, come on up. Your name is
George Balls.
Welcome, George.
Thank you.
Tell us a little something about what you're looking to do.
Well, basically what I'm trying to set up is a test and repair center for computer systems. With that, also cryptocurrency miners. And because of the capability of running more than 2 systems at a time, the city deems that to be considered a cryptocurrency mine. So I'm going through the procedure to go ahead and be considered a mine, although the bulk of my business will actually be the testing and repair of systems, not just cryptocurrency mines. So I'd like to do regular household systems, business systems. Right now, I'm working on a couple of valves that are HP systems right now. Then it's not just cryptocurrency, but we will have the capability to do that as well.
What is the definition? Kyle, 2 systems, are they interconnected?
It's 1 and 2.
Just 2 systems. Period.
Yeah, more than 2.
More than 2. Do they have to be interconnected?
I think it's just more than 2. I don't think they have to be.
Okay, describe the facility.
Well, it's
I mean, I remember it as a roller rink.
right, as the same one who's been here all known as the old roller rink or the Pizza Barn 2. And it's been many different businesses. Originally it was Park Mold Right. I guess at one point it was Habitat for Humanity. And back to Mulberry, or at least a specific thing, manufacturing company, and then Mulberry again. And basically it's a conglomerate of a warehouse, 2 other buildings, and an office space. It's really not set up for much. It's kind of a shell, and it's It's got a big parking lot, which is nice, until you have to pave it in the snow. That's like a good thing, but. You know, it's a unique little piece of property. That has potential for a lot, but at the same time, it's. If you see out to the right. That whole top portion is all warehouse space. There's a couple of bathrooms, then there's another building, and then see the yellow area. That's where I'd like to do the test and repair center. And then you'll see up front is office space. And it's pretty much different buildings separated. And then a big warehouse in the back, where it used to be the skating rink. Some of the mirrors are still up. It's kind of nice to see.
Have you, yes, go ahead.
I apologize. I just realized who you were. And at full disclosure, I didn't know until we got here. I saw you when we were downstairs and I looked at you and I was like, who's from there? I just realized I know you, you're friends with Jonathan, my boyfriend, Jonathan Side. We have never done business or anything, but I just feel like I should say that and like, make sure that it's okay that I'm sitting in on this, so. I feel like I can be completely unbiased in this, are you comfortable with me?
Sure, I'm saying.
Okay. Okay, just wanted to put it out there, I never wanna blow the line.
Have you read the requirements for use areas?
Yes.
Your package doesn't address any of it.
Okay.
Um,
Actually sold out for the directions on it.
but granted, there are 4 criteria that we have to evaluate. And right off the bat, in order for that's unnecessary hardship. Okay. In order to prove such unnecessary hardship, the applicant shall demonstrate to the Board of Appeals that for each and every permitted use under the zoning regulations for a particular district where the property is located, you have to show us that the applicant cannot realize a reasonable return, provided that lack of return is substantial as demonstrated by competent financial evidence. There's nothing in here showing any financials, any financial evidence against the possible 30 other uses of that property that are allowed by code.
Okay. I know this was a question that was asked, and it was asked last month prior to that meeting being canceled. And I was waiting on the return whether further information is needed. And we are,
I mean,
2 months later, the day of.
well, I guess,
If you look at most of the uses on here, it would be next to impossible unless you wanted to sink maybe, I don't know, at least another $1 million into this facility to make any of this even possible. But it's pretty much a warehouse space,
okay,
and
and warehouse
Groceries.
permitted use.
okay, and there has been a sign up front for the better part of 10 months to attempt to lease, and no one's fighting. We've attempted over and over again to try. I mean, I guess we don't have a microphone, but the other, again,
Storage.
every type of business would need substantial additions to it.
Okay. That is telling me that isn't proving financial hardship. Okay. According to the code, by competent financial evidence.
So would you like me to show, demonstrate like the last several months of what the business was doing? Now, part of the issue is, I know you guys touched on it downstairs, where there was a little miscommunication between the inspector's office and the company. And initially, it was asked, what our plans are there, and test and repair center. There's never wavered, always a test and repair center. I believe as the inspector said, the scale of it may not have been what they thought it was going to be. And so when, they came in for inspection and saw systems running, like, well, are you really testing and repairing? Absolutely. The only way to test systems is for them to run. And, since then, several of those contracts have gone out the door. So right now, it's a shell of what it was at the time of the initial inspection. And that's how it would be, fluctuation. It's not a true mine where it's going to have constant systems running all the time. And so the financial hardship part comes in where in October, when we had this discussion, and it was said, okay, yeah, you won't need to go through and get the approval. Test and repair center is not something that is needed. So go ahead. November 1st, when I called the office and I asked, can you please call me back and let me know if I need to go through this approval for developing this? And it's going to be quite a bit to do. No call back. So we developed it, we built the infrastructure, set up the internet, set up the tracking systems, got the contracts in. Started this. That was in December. I believe it was in January when the next inspection came in, and it's like, wait a second. That's a lot of systems. You need to get this approved.
Can I ask how many systems would be running?
The absolute max that it could run would be 200. And that is beyond anything that I want to know.
What would you need? I mean, and what would then, so you're testing mining equipment and the mining equipment.
So,
Well, okay, and the mining, well, the issue with Burns is the mining. Right? So in order to test the mining equipment, it has to be run as a files.
right.
And how many? So like if you're testing machines, how many would you be testing?
So they say maximum 200.
Well, that's 200 is quite, to me, seems like quite a high number.
That's the full capability. I don't want to say that it's going to be 5 systems or 10 systems. I want to say with the maximum is it's not a surprise. Right. Again, I slowed down the contracts because of being told that we couldn't operate. Since then, I've only been able to operate 2 at a time.
But what would you say are the usual oppositions that people have to mining operations?
Lack of knowledge. Right away, people think, oh, my electricity bill's been full. I'm also a resident of the city of Washington. I don't want my electricity bill to fall. And that's one of the fallacies where when that PPAC charge hits, the mining facility gets hit harder. We're paying a large portion of that. We are paying our portion that we've gone over with the allotment was. That's not passed on to the other residents. A resident like myself in my house, I'm paying that PPAC charge for my building over my allotment. So I think that's one of the misconceptions.
Can you run 200 machines in that space?
Yes,
And can you cool them with it? I mean, it would be.
usually air cooled. Sound, that's one thing that's actually pretty amazing with this building. There's multiple steps as well. For instance, down here, there's 2 residences. On the other side, it's another business. I don't know if anyone knows their names. They're on the other side, so they're also commercial. So you can be in the parking lot and not hear a sound. The systems are running because of the unique setup.
Kyle, I have a question. Your statement earlier about the 2 systems running is considered a,
It's not considered.
over to.
Over two, okay. So is that strictly with the computers that are for crypto mining?
It's, yes, it's for, it's crypto. It's not crypto, any more than two is.
Business that you want to start, is it strictly for computers that do crypto mining?
No, it is not. It is a mixture of both.
Okay.
But I don't want to limit and say I'm only going to do one and not the other. I want to have the capability to do multiple.
Okay.
So I'm coming to the board to ask for the ability to do that.
How many machines would be in a typical mining?
I don't know. I have worked in some where there were over 2,000. I worked in others that was over 600. I worked in another room downstate, it was 1,400, another one in Oswego. 1,200 or so. My guesstimate would be 500 or more. Over a megawatt of electrical usage. Because then you get the industrial rate, which this building cannot do. We do have our own transformers, but at max, they can do a max. I cannot go to max because then I would burn all the wires in the entire building. So I have no desire to get up to that. Then it's a test and repair center, not a true mine where systems are going to be just sitting there mining.
I guess my biggest problem is even being able to review this. Because I don't think we have enough. Well, let me put it this way. If we review it and vote on it, you don't meet, the package doesn't meet the requirements to justify in my opinion, to justify a use variance. The use variance is very hard to get for good reason, and this package doesn't have anywhere near enough information to prove that you have a hardship to justify use variance, or that the property is unique. Or this property is not unique to any others on Sharon Ave in any way, except the property itself.
Property itself, absolutely. And it's a warehouse. In between houses and vacant land across the street, which I know that was part of the town.
Yeah.
Names next door construction.
Have you ever been in Renee's?
I have.
And what's in there? Offices
Office space.
in the warehouse,
And then warehousing where they have their buildings.
and you have offices in a warehouse.
I put on construction company. It's that kind of principle where you just.
I guess that's, your next door neighbor is just a larger scale of the same building. It's offices and warehouse. So that kind of throws out uniqueness from that standpoint. In my opinion. And you go down the street, there are a number of warehouses that have an office space in the front of the side. And they're fully functioning. And they're zoned the same way. You're asking for a use variance. And this package isn't, in my opinion, isn't justifying any of the requirements that have to be met to be granted a use variance.
I'm asking to be allowed to open the business that this community needs. And it's not the mining portion, it's the computer repair center. Like, there used to be one on Route 9, just past Dustin's. And unfortunately, Celeste passed away last year, and that's left a huge hole in the community. And since then, I mean, I don't know where else you can bring a system to get repaired. If you're lucky, you can bring the Staples and they'll ship it out somewhere else. Or you can drive over to Vermont maybe Lake Placid, and lots of ways. Plattsburgh being the center of the county, the center, the seat. We don't even have a computer detector here. Seems odd.
Well, again. The issue isn't whether we need something, it's whether it's allowed by our code. And our code requires a use variance, and I'm not seeing any of the justification to go before, to take to basically determine that you are warranted a use variance.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
So, the variance is for specifically for mining, correct? It's not. In other words, the computer repair business would not require a variance, is that correct? So it's specifically the part about repairing the mining equipment.
Right.
So, I just want to clarify that. So the computer repair business, I think you're right, definitely could use a computer repair business, and I'm assuming that that the repair of the mining equipment is probably profitable.
It is more lucrative. It's not just that, but you're dealing with larger scale businesses that have more turnaround for systems to repair. Whereas me personally, I own 2 computers. Something might go wrong with them every 5 years. Really not much need to repair a home system, but
So I
when
mean,
it is needed, it's nice to have somewhere to go.
I just want to, I guess I just want to put it out there, because the issue really isn't the computer repair aspect. It's the mining aspect.
It's the mining and how the city of Plattsburgh has deemed 3 or more citizens you can consider a mine.
so. I guess my question to you is, and I know you're gonna like this. You can postpone and give us the information we need. And I'm not saying that it will still be successful. It may or may not. Again, like I said, a use variance is very difficult to achieve. This is the criteria. Or we can proceed, we'll do the seeker and then take a vote, or have a public hearing and then take a vote. But if we do vote and it is rejected, you can't come back with the same plan for a year.
So I can postpone and get these financials that I was mentioning earlier today about. But
Well,
when I
and
submitted
realize
ago,
you have to do it against, you basically have to do financials proving that you can't be profitable with any of the possible uses. And that's the tough part. Because there's 30 some other possible uses. Warehouse and storage facilities. There was just up the road on the same street, they just built a whole ton of self-store warehouses. Have you ever seen self-store warehouses inside a building?
I have over on
Center. If that could be profitable, you can't get a use variance for what you want.
Okay, so I have to demonstrate that if I could sink $1 million to build an infrastructure to do it, then it's awful within 5 years.
Basically, and they can't be numbers out of the sky. By competent financial evidence. And that's one of the biggest things with the use variances. It does require financial evidence saying that you can't make a profit on that property. Who owns the property?
Sharon Avenue Holdings.
Okay, are you part of that?
I am the property manager for them.
Okay, but you do not have financial in it.
No,
Okay,
but I am in talks with purchase, ready for potentially purchase them
okay,
to do this business.
okay. All right. So how do you want to proceed?
Can I just have that question answered? Is it typical to wait 2 months from the time when, you know, the application is submitted to have that question answered if that further information was needed? Wait a day of?
We've discussed that. I always thought you got that right off the bat because it was noted previously, a month ago, actually. And we are gonna resolve that. That doesn't, unfortunately, that can't change our requirements to us.
So that's not typical.
I don't know. This is the first time it's come up with me. I'm new at this. I've only been chair for a year and a half now.
It's like earlier today, I received an email with questions regarding this, that was dated February 10th,
Yeah,
and I received them this afternoon. So
And-
just,
and I thought that those questions went to you automatically. And I was the one who asked if there had been any response from you as a result of those. They said, well, we haven't given them to you. So I guess it's typical, but it's not the way it should be. And it will be rectified, but it doesn't. Unfortunately, I can't make a decision based on that action on the
so
sixth.
if I were to postpone, it would be for next month's meeting,
Yeah, we will see it next month. Easily.
or is it, could it be a shorter time frame than that? And how does that,
No, because we have a meeting once a month.
okay, so it would be for, until at least the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay. I think I will take a postponement and get further information that should have been possibly 2 months ago.
All right, and initially I was gonna request it be on your behalf, but since the city has some skin in the game, so to speak, we'll do it on the part of the board. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to postpone appeal 2341 and 2342.
Yeah.
To the April meeting on the zoning board.
Second read, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. I am available. If you wanted to meet, once you get stuff going and sit down and see if it meets at least one of the board's criteria, that would be a start.
I appreciate it.
Okay. We will be in touch. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
And how do I get your contact information?
I go through the building inspector.
Okay,
They'll set it up and kind of be the middle of the week here.
great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, 2343 XPTO Mining LLC. Anyone here? And you are Ryan?
Yeah.
Good evening. You didn't chime in on numbers of servers
Numbers of servers,
or numbers of systems in the last one.
or I guess what constitutes like a cryptocurrency mine?
Well,
I guess my answer to that'd be 600 thousands. I mean, there's some facilities down in Texas that have 10, 20, 30 gallons in their flying, so.
Okay. All right, you're looking to expand what you already have going. Give us a description of what you're doing.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a consultant for XBTO Mining LLC. They've been a company operating at Imperial since 2018. In Suite 101, as of January 1st, they expanded, or they leased the adjacent space to them in looking to expand their operation. They've been grandfathered in with their previous operation, pre-moratorium. So now I'm in front representing them to obtain a special use permit to be able to do so.
Give us some numbers on systems and what you're doing and how it is similar or different from what you're doing now.
It will be, it's exactly the same thing. Their current operation is built for 2 megawatts where they're running 600 servers. Imperial back in 2018 installed a 10 megawatt switchgear lineup on the north side of the building to support cryptocurrency tenants pre-moratorium. Since then, nobody else has come into the space to expand that. What they're looking to do is they purchased one of those switches that Imperial allotted for those suites. And they're looking to add on another megawatt to their operation since Imperial is limiting them at 3 megawatts of total capacity, which they currently have 2. They'd be doing a 1 megawatt expansion next to it. And adding about 300 servers, so having 900 in total.
Okay, so half again what you're in now.
Correct.
And am I correct? This is the same area that previous possible tenant was looking at.
Yes, it was, but he was originally looking at a larger, I think a different section of the building, not this one suite. So
Okay,
there is still some more capacity there as well, that I think was going to go to him. I don't know if he's been up there, but I think he was here about.
yes. Yeah. Okay. Anybody from the board have any questions? Comments?
I think the secret forms seem to have a lot of blanks in it. And in the number for estimated annual electricity demand. It's just, first,
Page 7.
page 7.
Oh, annual, okay, I put peak demand.
Per hour.
That would be the peak demand, yes, on the 1 hour interval. So that would be
the
1,500.
question is the annual electricity demand.
Yeah. So that would be. About 9 million kilowatt hours a year.
So, you know, people in the city worried about that a lot. What would your response be to that? I know that there is some. Is it a city law that puts the cap on others?
I'm not 100% sure on this, but there's rider A, I'm sure that would be next to the rider A.
Yeah, so
Provides protections.
I guess if you're asking on the question of power rates going up, actually pre-moratorium, prior to the moratorium, about an hour before the Public Service Commission passed rider A, which allows any of these municipalities with these cheap power allotments to pass on overage costs to any cryptocurrency miner if they are deemed the cause of that overage. For example, last year we did see our bills increase. It's mostly correlated to the severity of the winter. This year, the bills have been, I don't know if we've really had much overages purchased. That'd be a question for MLB. But the ratepayers have been protected since March of 2018 on that. For those overages, if there's any overage caused by a cryptocurrency operation in the city, pushing them over the limits, that cost is passed on to the operators.
That's accurate. I believe that the prior applicant doesn't have to exceed right, but I don't think they're big enough.
Yeah, they have to be considered HDA, high density load user, so I'm not sure what constitutes.
So what he was talking about isn't the, you know, we're not protected from the previous applicant, but these applicants who have a excluded right of way, which protects them.
You could be protected from the previous applicant, it depends on, I think, the square footage to the power usage, so it depends how you guys classify that.
We were in there and the square footage didn't meet the requirements for whatever reason. So. Just as an aside, sorry.
Yeah,
And MLB had sent a letter with the previous one, basically explaining how the ratepayers, the residential ratepayers are protected. For the high users that can go over and cost us the whole city to go over. Then they're the experts. So.
What would be the increase in noise?
so this operation, they did have a lot of noise complaints, previously, last year, they spent a substantial amount of money to deafen that, we changed out all the internal fans. And we had noise engineers that did studies around the city, and they also put on silencers on there, whereas now it's near silent. So they spent a lot to calm that noise problem. Which I think with, we will work with the building inspector with that, I think now everything has been taken care of on that. That's my understanding.
My understanding is the same, Joe, you said to me that it's probably been close to a year,
Yeah, we did it last March.
so. That's my understanding, as we're.
There haven't been complaints.
Yes, sir. There's been. It's not, we've been monitoring it from that year, okay, that's so. And I believe that it has essentially stopped because we haven't gotten nearly the requests of that. And I wish Joe was here to talk about it because he's the one that's dealt with it directly.
Yeah.
But my understanding is Joe says substantially solid.
And you didn't actually answer the question. What would be the increase?
Increase in noise, it would be the same, if we'd be installing, roof mounted fans there and implementing the same, using the same fans that we just, switched internally. And installing the same noise suppression on the roof. That puts these baffles, that cut the noise down, drastically. To what it previously was.
You would still be increasing the. Noise. The level, the current level is kind of suppressed, but you're going to be adding. Additional sound to it, right? So that.
I guess it'd be a little bit of sound, I mean, it's right next door, so there's 4 fans on the roof that line up these next, I don't even know if we could be putting 4 fans, and maybe 2 or 3, those would be right next door. So it'd be within the same line of that noise, same fans, same silencers on those fans, so maybe a couple of percent of an increase.
Would they increase the sound suppression? I mean, instead of just.
I think it would emit the same sound that's currently there.
Can I ask a question? Not sure. Any other questions, comments? We can always ask them after the public hearing, so.
I guess I do have one.
Yes.
That, and sort of a question to the board that the original variance for this use in this property was based on a sound suppression system that was different than what is currently being used.
Yes. But in reality, what Ryan said is what I was talking about earlier. They are going in the same area. So that previous one really doesn't apply. That's apparently that is still there.
He was also proposing to implement a different type of system.
That's what he's alluding to. That's a different area. So this is a direct expansion. And has nothing to do with what's been previously approved for somebody else.
And it is a special use permit, too, not a variance. And it's allowed use.
Yeah. So what we talked about down the stairs goes away, so to speak. The justification that somebody else had a variance that was for a different area of the same building.
Because this one was already there.
This one is in, the current one that we have is in suite 111, which is in the center there. The new proposed one will be, in suite 101, which is adjacent.
The different suite is the one that French company had a variance, or special use permit for.
Yeah, he was on the back, he was on the other side of the building in X1, which was a downstairs space.
Which that special use permit has gone away or no?
Sorry, he was asking questions.
Yeah. The one for the French company is in a different area. Is that special use permit still stand?
I'm not entirely sure that if he ever applied for a building permit, it'd definitely be done. Especially for instance, variances are allowed. Stay with the property unless the building permit is applied for, and that substantial start hasn't been. It hasn't been substantially started in 6 months, so. I would imagine the area that they were talking about before. Would still have that special use permit attached to it, but this is, and again, it's a different system. So I'm not entirely sure that would. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, our laws are weird. Okay, so we should just ignore the other one, at least as far as. Yeah, it doesn't apply. So. All right, any other questions before I open up? Okay, gonna open up to the floor for comments. Before I do, I don't want the same people getting up and saying exactly the same thing. If you're gonna say the same thing, just get up and say, I agree with this person, and we'll document that rather than hearing 6 or 8 people say the same thing over and over again, if that's okay. And I will open it up to the public.
Hi, I'm Ernie Gillespie. I live like 89 Main Street. I'm right across the road from 30 years. And the last time I was here with the other people that was going to put a mining company in. I was pointing out to them, and I don't know if you have that map again, of where Bombardier, well, Malta now, and where the Imperial Mill is. See, you got 7 homes there that are right between large buildings. That echoes back and forth. Now, he says he's put stuff on there. He probably has. Let me ask you a question. When did you finish that?
Excuse me, sir. Address the board, please.
All right. Well, I need to know because last summer, and into the fall, when it's warm weather, that those fans increase in noise as the temperature goes up. And I'm sure the computers are running warmer too. So what that does is, and under the noise ordinances, when I looked them up, when we got into this discussion last couple months ago on this issue, Joe's come up and it's very, very close. He says, because now we're zoned industrial 7 homes. And that's a former zoning board decision that was made that probably should have looked at it with closer.
I don't think the zoning board does that. That's the city council.
Well, there's zoning industrial.
I realize that, but the council is the one that approves.
All mines. So now. You under the noise ordinances, they're talking decibels, but there's also, if you look it up, there's a paragraph in there that says any strange noise for long lengths of time. Now, I can tell you and I'm not saying you're doing this intentionally, but and I don't make your money. I don't have a problem with that. It's my home, that's the problem, that's here. And when I'm sitting with all the windows open in the summertime, and I'm hearing a fan running, and I gotta turn my TV up because this fan is running. That's not right. That's just not right. And probably one thing I'm gonna mention here is, you remember now, he's using a lot of electricity. And granted, that's a good, if he's making money, that's a good thing. What are you taking away? I think the city's gotta look at it. What are you taking away from other companies that would hire a mower for 400 people? They use a lot of electricity. What does he hire? 3, 4 maybe? If that. Look at the tax revenue what the city's missing. Plus they're using up the infrastructure. So. That's all I got to say.
Well, no,
Okay. Good evening, I'm Rick Hockersmith, I live at 59 Adirondack Lane. Do you have a picture of photograph in the bank? The opposite bank that they're on? In the collection? Yeah, that's my view. And on your diagram, which part of the building I see? The previous, the one that has a diagram one, which, am I seeing the bottom part of the diagram or the top part of the diagram?
What was on that diagram was not your visible view right there. That's another section of the building, X1, X2. That space, there's a railway in the center, we're on the other side of that. There's actually a gap.
Can't even see your building?
The section of the building, no, because there's a railway in between, or there's an old rail spur. We're on the other side of the building. There's another building that kind of separates them.
Who's big round that's doing it?
That is our comments. That's your point.
You did turn them around, but you didn't put up any kind of baffling around that construction. And I would make some attempt to plant some trees in that back. That was dropping, what is about that, yeah, I think 100 years old. Yeah, this is my view, my house. Right now, actually, because there's snow out there. If you put more snorkels up, or whatever you call those things, they have the round curved stainless steel structure, but obviously 3 or 4 more one-year roof structure, they're gonna make more noise. 1 + 1 is 2, you can't get around that. So, I really don't have anything else. Okay, thank you.
thank you. Yes,
Hi, my name is Julie Bond. I live on Main Hill Street as well. I've done a lot of research on this. Excuse me for not getting up, it's because my computer's here. The one thing that, as far as the electricity goes, it says, I came across a study that says, as of August 2022, published estimates of the total global electricity usage for crypto assets are between 120 and 240 billion kilowatt hours per year, a range that exceeds the total annual electricity usage of many individual countries alone. The environmental footprint of Bitcoins is concerning. According to estimates, Bitcoin emits some 57 tons of carbon dioxide annually, nearly half a ton of CO2 for every transaction. I could go on and on and on, but Plattsburgh's trying to become more green. We have the Green Task Force coming out that's really done some extraordinary work. And for this type of thing to be increased even more in Plattsburgh, I just don't see it as a positive thing. Yes, everyone deserves to make a living by all means. But Plattsburgh's a relatively small area. Where he's located, you've got the river right there. I mean, 9 homes, like somebody just said, one of them is mine. I just ask you to please think thoroughly about allowing this expansion.
Are you not a city councilor?
I am here as a resident of Main Mill Street.
Okay. Uh,
Nothing more.
We're going by the rules of the city council.
I am here as a resident.
I realize
because I live on
that.
Main Mill Street.
I realize that. Then, but as a city councilor, you should realize where our laws are coming from. And our laws allow it.
Yeah. Doesn't make it right.
Well, I don't disagree with that statement. That's the case in a lot of cases, but if it's written in our code, we can't tell someone, no, they can't do it if they meet the requirements of the code.
Absolutely. I totally in agreement. Absolutely.
And
Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it
okay,
something more that we need in the area, that you could say. I mean, I just went by the studies, that's all I'm going by. And what the ramifications are of an expansion like this.
okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Carla Brancato. I live at 55 Adirondack Lane. I just would like the board to consider if this expansion takes place because it's allowed. That it strongly consider the fact that they're looking to expand by 1 megawatt. And add 300 more servers, that this business have to have a plan in place to increase their whatever it is that they use to silence the fans and the equipment and increase that by 50% commensurate with their expansion before it gets approved. That plan to increase whatever it is that they do to keep the sound down be in place as well, rather than approve and then have to backpedal because we find out that all the residents are hearing everything all of a sudden. If it is allowed to expand. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? That's me.
My name is Laverne Hicks. I live at 9 Alex's Way.
Mhm.
I'm in the community. I don't know how many of you were here when the other young fellow, the Frenchman, wanted to put one in.
Two of us were here.
Excuse me?
There were two of us on the board who
Okay.
were there.
If you remember that we talked about the noise. And he did make the statement that this young man had the ability and the equipment to cut the sound down, but never used it.
Remember that.
Do you remember that?
Sure do.
So where is the sound cut down if he has never used that equipment that he is supposed to have had on hand? Now, maybe some of you are short-minded, but I remember.
I do remember that.
Okay. So I hope you take that into consideration also.
Comments, Brian?
Just on that last one, I wasn't here for that meeting. I'm not sure exactly what he could have been referring to with us having the equipment to be able to cut that down. He potentially could have been referring to utilizing the same immersion type systems that he used. That do have less sound. There's a lot more capital investment involved in those, and a whole different sort of operation that you have to build around that. I don't remember when he was last here, but that could have possibly been the silencers that this company has now installed on the roof. And there were a lot of complaints for years, and then they stepped up and they did take care of that sound problem, spent quite a bit of money doing so. With our expansion as well, we don't want to create more noise there. I think we also wrote in these plans that we are looking to make sure that this does not create more noise or increase the levels that much. From what we dealt with before, and I was helping them with this, doing some of those noise studies. We don't want to go through that process again, having to fix things, having to spend a substantial amount of capital to do so, so we're taking that into consideration as we're building this, to replicate what we just did to fix that problem.
Are there technologies out there that can go beyond what you have? Still staying within the air pool.
No. As in like noise suppression or?
Noise suppression, or even just barriers, trees, that sort of thing.
For, at least for what our sound engineer that we hired and came up, with his study, that what we implemented was what his recommendation was. And what he engineered to, fix that problem. Which had to do with, decibel level as well as coming down on that frequency too, which is the constant.
Okay. How are the noise levels are basically yeah, you should say noise level. Are they a factor of the environment, air, as to whether you need more cooling? They're noisier, or is it just because it's warmer and sound carries better?
It's more on the cooling side, as the weather heats up, and you need more airflow through the facility, we do, the servers themselves increase. Their intake and exhaust, which do, elevate the internal noise, as well as you increase the exhaust fan speed, which increases that noise.
Okay, so the exhaust fans are variable.
Yeah, everything run with variable speed fans.
Okay. Anyone else from the audience, public? No? All right, I will close the public hearing portion. What I want to do, and this is unorthodox, but the seeker is not completed at all. 90% of it is blank. I guess I really don't want to go through it line by line and answer that with 3 more left to do. I guess what I'd like is maybe for you to go outside and complete the seeker, come back in at the end of to us. And then we'll finish up with you, but in the meantime, I'll see a couple of the others,
That works.
if that's okay with you. Thank you. Is that okay with you, Kyle?
Yes. You have to suspend this. Not sure how that works.
So I just need to fill out one that I have here and hand it to you.
Yeah, if you would, please.
Yep, and
All right. Just keep it open. Yeah. The code says I get to determine how the meetings are run. All right, 2344. Yuri. I won't try to pronounce your last name.
I challenge you to try.
Oh. Well, hard. Really?
Yeah.
All right. Administrative review, appealing building inspector's office decision that first floor apartments are not an allowable use in the central business district. I assume you read the code.
Yeah.
So what is your position? Why are you bringing an administrative review of it? I mean, I realize it's your right. There's no problem with that. Well, I was just curious.
Well, I don't think I ever heard of an administrative review until, I sat down with McMahon and his team, and they recommended me to do that. So they were the ones who helped like say, I would go to the board and see. So that, this whole idea came from them.
didn't tell me that.
I think that was an option that we gave.
Okay, it is an option. Yes, it is always an option.
I would like to do that before going to do they use their end because I've never done it before and there's never that.
Would be a use variance? Or
It would be used there as, yeah. It's because it's a schedule of permitted uses, is the apartments above the third floor that's allowed. So it's a use variance.
and you saw what I did with the last use variance.
I know we're very familiar with the 4 steps, not through those pretty clearly, for the state of New York.
Okay. But we realize what we are looking at is not anything to do with the, shall I say, the feasibility or the proper use of that property is purely against what our code says.
Correct.
Okay, sorry. Then our code says specifically, I didn't do that.
Yeah,
Apartments, apartments above the first floor.
Okay.
Unless it's a plan to develop.
What if it's a residence? They own the building, it's not an apartment.
I think you're getting a little technical.
But that
Does
doesn't-
say apartment, it says apartments above the first floor.
Or I guess if there's multiple places, it's an apartment, even if they don't. Okay.
Unless they have the whole building.
Or if they, what if they do is condos.
It's something that's considered an apartment.
Okay. All right, so the question is. They said that if it is an apartment above the first floor. Or apartments must be above the first floor. And you're looking at doing something below the first floor. Correct. In the back, so once it,
But let me all.
yeah, go ahead, if you would please.
So first off, before I jump into explaining about the situation here, so everyone's clear. When I met with Mr. McMahon and his team, they recommended me to, this is one of the avenues, and I don't think they would recommend that if they just thought. Because they know they're smart, they told me to just read this, just reading out the code, clearly states I can't do that. But they recommended me to do that because I never been to this board before, but I'm assuming they didn't, they come to board every meeting, that they assumed that there was probably some sort of. Chance that you guys would see the ridiculousness of this provision per my unique building. I think the intentionality of this provision for the plat downtown Plattsburgh is regarding having street frontage retail space on the main strip where there's walkable traffic, and I totally agree and agree that I enjoy downtown Plattsburgh is the storefront on Main Street, every single one of those would be commercial retail. I think that's the intentionality of that provision. You don't want apartments on the first floor where people can, hang out outside, and feel like a resident. This is supposed to be a walkable commercial space. But with this general code, it prohibits some unique buildings like mine. Something that I think is ridiculous, and the reason why I think it's ridiculous, is we already have two units that go against this, this provision. But it's grandfathered in, it's such a old building. So if you can see, this building is the chapter 1 building that's catty corner to this building. So this is actually the back of chapter 1 coffee space. If you ever been there, it's the bathrooms right here. This unit back here is an apartment, existing 1 bedroom, has been there for about decades.
this has an access right here, that's an apartment that goes against your provision on the first floor, it's a one bedroom. Then there's one here too, that's a 2 bedroom, that's on the basement level, that's been a long-standing apartment, we just renovated it because it was more, it was utilized as storage space because it wasn't renovated yet, but this goes against your code too, so we have 2 separate apartments that are against that provision. Right here is the boiler room that I would like to change into an apartment. It would be perfect for a 1 bedroom, it's about 700 square feet, that's the right footprint for it. I would like to do that there, then also right here where all the garbage cans are. And the exhaust fans, there's another space that actually used to be part of the shop for one space when we were a bicycle shop, there was a downstairs. That was huge, it's 1,200 square feet, 2 bedroom that the coffee shut off, so now it's considered commercial, but it's the size of a 2 bedroom apartment. Well, I think the provision is, very limiting, and the ordinance is. I think what I told you guys about the intentionality of what I believe you guys were trying to create, but. I mean, PJ is a real estate, we're in town, this is not a commercial space, I mean, who's gonna wanna come here where there's garbage cans, back alley, very dangerous for people at night, walking down a dark alley up to a commercial space. It doesn't make any sense to me, so as a business owner, that's what I'm limited to, is commercial spaces down a back alley, not many buildings, I think there's very few buildings, if any, have a parking spaces in the back of their building in the business district with units that don't have street level access but are limited for your ordinance. This is one of the biggest buildings in downtown, it's 14,000 square feet. Most buildings have just retail on the bottom and apartments on the top. Fully makes sense to be an ordinance. Mine has it's almost 2 buildings together with spaces underneath the first level. This space, if this was technically per your ordinance, I don't see how any of these would make any sense for commercial. It's very dangerous for people, especially in winter, walking down that alley, it's very icy, it's dark, it's scary, it's not nice to the eye. There's no walkability, there's no visibility. The previous owner tried to rent out that 1,200 square foot space for the last 10 years, and the best you could get is a few $100 a month to a local bank who just uses it for space, because nobody wants to rent a space in a commercial space. So what I'm trying to propose to you guys with the administrative review is, to look at this ordinance and, look at the uniqueness of this building and see that I think there's a disparity in what you guys are trying to create with intentionality. This is below first level, yours is first floor. A lot of this is below some first floor. I'm just trying to go after it this way first before going after use variance, because use variance is very hard to get, but I think if you guys, I think anyone can see that I think anyone can see that this is these are not commercial spaces, traditionally. They're not, nobody's gonna really wanna be there for that, these are, I have 2 other spaces that are very similar right next door, literally right next door, that are already apartments. That's why I'm here.
And that's all private.
Market.
There's no public sidewalk along there, and no like that.
Actually, you can see that here, there's all these trees, you can't even see it from the river, there's a walk down the river, but that's as good. Down the hill, separated by trees, you can't even see the back of this building.
Is there, so is the apartment, the first apartment there is grandfathered, is there a language to that grandfather clause that could possibly include the rest of that home?
I would say no,
You're saying one?
because the grandfathering in is basically a snapshot, period. When zoning went into effect. Anything that was there says anything that's changed. Has to go in. I don't feel it's a whole host of problems. Um, You understand that, Bill? Yeah. Let me open this up to the public. I don't know if I need a public hearing, but I will open it up. Does anybody want to comment on this? No?
I can comment, I'm not here for that, but.
Well, you can comment.
I live in the city and it doesn't make sense that that provision would have been for the Market Street, you know, walking downtown. You wouldn't want to see an apartment on the first level, you know, invisible, but this is right behind and not even, so the point, I mean, and also renting, you would want to have security access either, but. You know, it's not necessarily, I think in the spirit of the law that maybe was intended at the time. This does seem to be a separate and distinct kind of issue that probably was overlooked in the application.
Agreed. And I don't think anyone will disagree with that. This is a unique property, that sort of thing. The real question again, like I say, is we have to kind of put on blinders and say, what does the code say, and did the building inspector interpret it properly according to what the code says? So, any other comments? Okay, I'll close the public hearing portion. Bruce? Yeah, find this. There it is. There is no. Good. It's like easy. Anybody have any other questions?
Kyle, I think you just put eyes on the code one more time to give it any chance on the page number.
It's actually in this, schedule of minutes, it's actually, so it's in the back. In the, it's the very bottom, the very bottom, item under schedule of minutes.
That'd be awesome.
Central, right here. Permitted principal uses, apartments above the first floor. Uses requiring special permit. But that's what the plan you develop,
Right.
which is
Planning to do all that requires to.
Yeah. So I'm fine, we were looking at it as a special use permit. So under that, at least, we were not looking at it as a use variance, the class A use variance.
So why was that?
Well, I just wanted to be sure, how to say precedents.
Yeah.
Wanted to make
I
sure.
believe that's, I believe that's.
Okay,
It's a full side.
yeah, because they were the only other hillside. So, question before us is. Did the building inspector act properly in saying that it is not allowed? As a use. Under the code that says apartments that allowed permitted principal use in central business is apartments above the first floor. Were they correct in saying that they could not have it?
A yes, if the building inspector's interpretation is correct.
Let's do it in writing, and I guess I need a motion.
I mean, I would, you could say that it does not address at all apartments below the first floor. And so that apartment.
Well,
below the first floor.
The thing is,
not
it's,
covered.
it's not. The. The code says permitted principal uses. And if it's not in the list, it's not allowed. Is the way that it is interpreted, is if it's not in the list. Under a principal use or an accessory use or a use required in a special use permit. It's not a permitted use.
So, I'm sorry, is there a difference between, a use permit and a use variance?
Yes, yes, special use permit is. So, like Ryan said, it's a matter of right, and just provide all the other requirements of zoning. If all your other requirements of the zoning are met, then it's a legal use. So it's a review of the property to make sure that it meets all the other zones.
But the use variance
It's,
is more common.
yes, extreme.
And would a use permit satisfy this?
Not in this particular case. There's a planned unit development, which could be situated on 3 acres in the central business district. Would have to be applied for, and it just this doesn't apply to this zone.
And again, it is purely the building inspector's interpretation. Is what we are reviewing, not the merits or detriments of what it is wants to do.
So I want you to be very clear that we understand. And are trying to process how to. Think through this. In a way that's going to be, positive way. That's okay.
I think just the discussion is positive. If it does come back for a special use permit,
Yeah,
you have some.
so that's. I would encourage you to come back. Sorry.
No. You're aboard. Just sit here and talk. And get a motion. If it's going.
I'll make a motion, for. For appeal number 2344, we make an action to. Agree with the city of Plattsburgh inspector's statement. That the use for this, sought for this appeal. Is that apartments are to be, utilized above the first floor.
Second,
I'll second.
and a yes vote is to affirm what the building inspectors said there was. Okay. We have 4 yes votes, 1 no vote. I think you have a pretty good idea what we were coming from. Unfortunately, our hands are tied.
Then what do you recommend? You realize that Jewish element is that everyone sees. How my hands are tied with the certain codes that I don't think you guys, that you guys have right now.
Realistically. I would think the easiest avenue, but the longest, it'll take the longest, is to get the code changed. And the code is in review right now. And there will be changes. But, I tend to agree with you that going for a used area is making it difficult, if not impossible. And I don't disagree with you, the code needs a change to address unique properties like yours. And I don't think you're alone, but you may be. But that definitely goes towards the uniqueness, so you got that going for you. And that's about all I really can say, unfortunately. You know, I feel for you. I wish we could have done something right here and then.
I got some time that changing the code, that's the multi-year, I would say, process. Exactly.
Yes,
That,
unfortunately.
I don't know, but I mean, changing the code section, I don't think we're. When we're in a discussion. The mayor or the council or something, just to get it started, just to find out. Or your words.
thank you guys.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, Brian, let's come on back. Thank you. All right, you guys want to fully resolve now. 4 minutes and just read off the answers.
First step, if you want to read the correspondence, or
Yes.
we got two.
Yes, we're fine. You're talking the public?
Yes.
Okay, not necessarily the them.
Just, the public.
I was surprised you knew that the county rejected your application and you went back and I wanted to go to that meeting, but couldn't get it. Okay. Public comment, there was, actually, I'll reopen the public comment period just to enter these 2 letters in. There was one from Susan Quinn regarding the public hearing February 13th, requesting relief of ordinance being special use permit and 46 Powerden Way as an order of the property within 500 feet of location and against allowing any expansion. She refers in the past, the wine generated by the Cheyenne State to cool the area was intrusive and more than a nuisance, interrupting sleep and quality of life. I am not in favor of a business that utilizes excessive amounts of state of Plattsburgh electricity, putting all cities residents at risk of higher utility prices if our cap is exceeded, while not owning property in the city, paying taxes, nor employing substantial staff who would give back to the city. Respectfully, Susan Quinn. And there was a second one. Didn't see this. You said this? Oh, okay, this was from Denise Nephew, comments from Monday zoning meeting. She's totally against 2343. As you will know, will increase their pull of electricity. Also, lots of the long form is not filled out. The noise from this data center is unacceptable. Go to the Adirondack Green condos and see how that is. No new employees to be added, just taking city resources. Okay, she also mentioned 2341, we'll keep that, be sure that comes in. And at the end, please protect our city utilities from these businesses that give nothing back to the community. Okay, those get read in. We'll give that back to you. I'll close the public comment, close after that. Okay, seeker. B number C. Okay, building inspector, building permit. Coastal resources. I know project in from waterfront revitalization. No. Actually, we do have one. But it doesn't impact that.
Is there a distance on it?
No. So that is yes. I then I project within a coastal erosion hazard area, no. Main zoning actions amendment, no. Adopted use plans. Include where this. Include the site where the yes. Yes, this does include ours. If yes, does it include specific recommendations for the site? They do not. Proposed action in brownfield, special planning, no. Fully within the area was an adopted open space plan, no. Under zoning, page 3, yes, yes, no. Plattsburgh City Schools, that's correct. All of that is correct. No park services, project details, industrial. We've got all the amounts. Expansion of the existing project, yes. Proposed, does it include subdivision? No. Multiple phases, no. 4 months for construction. And page 4, in residential, no. Non-residential construction, no. Okay, no new construction. You're going completely within your footprint.
Yeah.
Okay. How many liquids, no. Project operations, then basically they're doing anything. Those actions, alteration or increase. No. New demand for water, no. Generate liquid waste, no. Serve more than 1 acre, no. Air emissions, fuel combustion, waste consideration, no. Air emission sources, no. Proposed action generator, emit methane, no. Release of air pollutants, no. Substantial increase in traffic, no. Which we wish it did. Granted to 9 million kilowatt hours. Generate new or additional demand. And will it require an upgrade? No. EJ. No. Every one of the questions is no. Storage.
What was, I'm sorry,
And there's one that we, top of page 8. Yeah. Will the proposed action produce noise that will exceed existing ambient noise levels of during construction, operation, or both? They check no. I think that we should check yes. And, you know, just along the lines comparison, you got 4 trucks running, you start 3 more, the place is gonna go up. So yes on that. Include sources, time of day, and duration, 24 hours a day.
The operation runs 24 hours,
Yeah.
24/7. There's not staff there 24/7.
So the sources spans. Duration 24/7. 65. It says 24/7, 52. Will remove existing natural barriers that would, no. Okay. Everything else was good. What's all the rates? Construction modifications, all we know, no. Site and study of proposed action, industrial, commercial, residential. And basically no change on the acreage. Used by members, no. Facilities serving children within 1,500 feet, that should be yes.
Is that of 1,500 feet of the Imperial property or within 1,500 feet of that lease space?
Either way, you're within 1,500 feet of PHS.
Is that, is the building of the school or their property line?
I believe it's property line.
I know it's not.
Yeah.
Okay, I did it, I measured from our space to where the building was.
Okay. Even if you talked about your building, it would be to their property because students utilize the whole property.
Got it.
Definitely the part that's closest to you,
Mhm.
so. Is there anything else? Not really. How far are you from? OLDA,
OBA,
OLDA.
I don't know what that is. Or what that's called.
Is it, okay, I haven't been down maybe no.
Yeah. Oh,
Since
yeah,
I stayed in their relations.
yeah, we would show it for the kids,
Okay,
that school's closed down,
well, but there's elderly in it now,
yes.
that was not that it was a school.
Yeah.
Project site containing existing camp. One sedan. Imperial,
I think it heard it was a bit,
Imperial does own the dam.
so they have the turbines.
and that would be. Yes, and. They have the dimensions really not applicable. Unknown. Municipal industrial solid waste, no. Hazardous waste. Has that ever been a hazardous waste location here? From the Imperial, no. Okay. Contamination, no. EC remediation, no. No. Not a place. The part of floodplain.
This was a question before, and I remember it was no.
Yeah.
And I also use the EMF map.
Okay.
And that's it, that's the one that checked it now.
Well. Everything is no. And. F on page 13, projects area portion of it located or adjacent to an area designated as that's it. Yes. Where'd that come from? Yeah.
Did I check, does it look like ink or does it look printed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on yours. Don't say no, we don't want to make. Okay. All right. Then. Yes, I need a motion in regards to the long form seeker.
Make a motion for appeal number 2343 after review of the full environmental assessment form. We find that there is little or no impact on this project, and the chair may find on page 13. Little or no.
Second. All in favor?
Right.
Aye. Any nays?
Well, no,
You both know?
I think that's a sound issue. So,
Okay. All right. Then. Let's. And I will hear a motion for a special use permit.
I'll make a motion that the board would do appeal 2343 for XBTO mining to approve the special use permit request for the extension of the existing data center.
Second. Do we want to do any modification or any conditions?
So, I'm not an engineer, I'm a sound engineer, but I would think that a condition that the sound levels do not increase from their current levels. That provisions be made that the sound levels do not increase.
We had baseline numbers, correct?
Joe has. I don't know if there's a.
Okay. We're making a motion. Good. With that addition. In a second. Okay. All right, then a yes vote with the conditions is to grant him his special use permit. Yes. Well, It's not unanimous. I have 2 no votes and 3 yes votes. So it passes. Okay, but you did hear the qualification stipulation, shall we say, and we'll leave it to the building inspector to do that. Like he said, he's got baseline numbers. When do you expect this to go online?
Our current estimate would be, we still have to go for the building permit next, so that's probably gonna take us a couple months.
Okay,
I would say probably around, if we could get that by, we get our building permit in the next, say, 2 months, so May. 4 months of construction, sort of the end of the year.
so if he doesn't have summertime readings, he can get them this summer, if that would be accurate for what you have now.
Correct.
Okay. That's my only concern is if his readings aren't during the summer. Say as you've all expressed, summertime seems to be the worst. So. Yeah, I was just gonna say, did anybody want to make a statement about their vote?
I voted against this. I live far enough away where I'm not included within the 500 feet. To not be on the board. But I can hear your building from where I am at Waterhouse Street. And I absolutely sympathize with the noise levels. And I really, really strongly urge you to do everything you can, because if I'm hearing it from 3 blocks away, absolutely, these people are struggling in their homes. And I can't say enough how important it is. I think the city did it, an injustice whenever it was done, that they allowed these, buildings to be put in near these homes years ago. So if you could please just do whatever you can, if you're making that money and you're expanding, put some of it toward your community.
We'll do that. That's our plan going forward too. With these expansions, we are looking at, well, we want to fix the noise problem. I haven't heard any concerns about that, but if there still are, we still like to hear them, so we can see what we can do to actually fix that.
I can still hear it. from-
Where is that? Is that on the other side of the river?
I am directly behind OLVA Church. And when I open my bedroom faces the river, and when I open my window in the summer, I can hear you guys.
Has that been this past summer, or was it a
I,
few years ago?
it was definitely a few years ago, and I would say that it was last summer as well, but I'll definitely make note of it, to listen to hear if it's any less, but, I haven't not noticed. I haven't gone, oh my gosh, it's gone, because I can hear it. Like it's just become a part of my auditory environment.
Okay. Got it, but yes, we will do as much as we can to make sure that we don't want to create more problems either, because then we have to spend substantial amounts of money to fix them, so. We've dealt with this before now, that is taken into high consideration as we're building these to see how can we not, hopefully minimize this noise as much as possible. With the way this business operates.
I would just like to second those thoughts.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Have a good evening.
Okay, Darlene Dubuque.
Hello again. I got here, there was Patty in the call. So
I wouldn't have been able to pick up remember the name, I remember the project. And actually, I requested the minutes from the previous one to refresh myself, and then actually I watched the video.
I couldn't find it on the watch it, because August of 2019 was when I first came, and there was a lot of areas and there were only 3 of them. And I thank you so graciously helping me to postpone to the next, the September session, but also by percentage. So in August, it was 4% overage, and by November, I think it was like 6%, and now it's based on what I was listening to, 7%. So, that's 7%.
Well,
So,
and,
I do apologize again.
go ahead.
So I do apologize again for not following the proper protocols, and who knew, so Joe had called me back in 2018 saying, yeah, you can't even get the permit, and, we got the permit, and I get a permit. But your house is about 30%, so you have to go to something, and then I knew I was a problem state. Because, nobody likes to do things back. So, I am there for your mercy again to look at this.
Well, and only two of us were here when I moved forward. Kelly was here, I was here. The other three are on there. So they haven't seen it.
It's a 14 by 7 office shed that portable that, oh, there it is, on the curb with my, so I had that put in, it matched the house, the desert and, shingles and everything. So, and I have the wider doors because I have a small car, so you'd be like, well, that's not a garage door, but they are wider, and they don't like to do that because they can sag. But I had to make it wider with my little sign on that feet can fit in there, but after it being denied, I didn't want to put in the extra pavement until I got that reconciled. And I did go to the winter after it was denied in September, and he said, well, wait, because he said, we don't have to move it right away. So basically, what it was, well, wait till you get the in the paperwork as to what is city's going to do. And so I said, can I figure it out? So needless to say, finally, the inspector's office did serve me with a notice in March of this year to a court hearing, which I'm again on the lawyer, and I'm going to go to that. And my husband are training on things, how to, make this work, and hopefully the judge goes over and everything, really happy. And then on Monday, Joel called me and said, well, darling, it's been a long time, you've been putting for a variance again, so. I figured I'd try the variance again, let's see, I did. Go through, and it is on the northwest corner, and you can just barely see my neighbors, so. This big only order, so I don't forget where I'm at. It did say that in significant economic injury, which is kind of difficult to get depending on who you're talking to. So I called a friend of mine who was a real estate agent who's been trying to sell my house because I was potentially going to move. That was going to be one of my resolutions. I will just sell. I invested 200,000 in it, but I can. I can find something, but there's nothing that now that I have a husband, I have to also find something to heal. There's been nothing. So, and the cost of everything is crazy. So I can sell for a lot, but I also have to pay a lot, and what's out there is that. So, the real estate agent was saying that with the garage shed, 14 by 20 structure, it's about 10 hours. My traveler's insurance, and I gave this paper, it's about 20,000 I think it's set there. And it was basically just 10% of whatever they set value of the house. So then I was talking about Lawrence Crombie, who's an appraiser. And he called the inspector's office. He's been on the phone a lot with me. I thought he was in charge of the office, but he charged $50 an hour. He still hasn't charged me, but he still hasn't given me any paperwork either. So the last time I spoke to him again for about 45 minutes, he was over like that, and I'm like, well, $200, and he goes, wow, maybe I can raise him a matter. And he said, I said, well, what do you typically do? I think this is based on phone call, so I know it's not true, but typically he said he needs 7% of the home's appraised value. Okay, so on my parcel search, it does not say that I want a shed or garage, there's nothing on it. Under the fact that only the paved driveway is listed there. So if we went with just that, that's 186,600 at 7%. That's about 13,000. So I figure my economic injury is between 10 and 20, depending on who you're looking And then the other question was about, does it, produce a substantial change to the neighborhood? And, in my opinion, no, my neighbor, the one on this side, at 24 McDonough. They too have a small lot, it's a little bit bigger than mine, but it's still a small lot. They have a shed slash garage, and a little column, and things more stuff, it's really further out there. But his is 18 by 20. So it's a little bit over there. And then my other neighbor who's here, 32 McDonough, on the south side, much larger lot, has a 28 by 35 garage, plus a shed, 28 by 12, so lots of storage. And I don't believe that line has any kind of detriment to health, safety, welfare, of the community, it's the shed. Oh, I forgot to mention, I did remove the 8 by 10 shed that was on Jesse's side, on that floor. On the Jesse's side. So I have to remove that, so I did try to do something. I thought about removing that little tiny 2 by 4. But don't look like that, not really. 2 by 4. No, so, okay, so, you know, people are judging that too significant. The 14 by 20. Is the minimum, and even right now, it's chock full. I can't put my patio and stuff in it. I can't put my car in it. I have too much stuff. I had a basement issue, which I had to get a permit. So that driveway that got all cut up right there in the sidewalk, I had a septic issue, so that Daryl had to come rip off. They put it fine on the line went, the through line, it was on the other side of the road, so he would stay about $89,000 later. They fixed it, and then the guy on the inside, you know, with the plumbing connection, and that got another 2,000. So I haven't done that. Sorry about that. So it's practical, you know, to store my tools, my lawn stuff, the equipment, snowblower, pressure washer, especially when I got a little one. I have the furniture, but that's all that back right now. General storage, and I think that my card, I did send that to Colin Reed after this happened, because I went to the mayor then. And I said, I can put my car here, you know, that's what I had a little bit later. So it is multi-use, and I would say that it was bigger than your car garage. And how should. So I was like,
that was wrong.
oh, it's wrong.
That was
Oh,
a
my God.
yes.
So I was like, was it shed empty? I
It
don't know.
blames the king size garage.
Yeah. So, anyways, so I did go to Mayor Rosenblatt. I went to talk to Beth first after they said she gave me a fair ticket. And I said, you should be going on change, because 30% seems to be, overburdened some when you're already, you know, meeting all the other rules and requirements that go along with placing. Like shed or garage, or it's attached, detached, and whatever have you. Like I had to go through the addition. And then I see it again at the North Country Chamber of Commerce for the vegetarian candies. What? So every time I talk to anybody about this 30% rule, they kind of, I know it's a rule, but they give me the kind of. Like I have to get and they can't understand the words coming out of their mouth, and that's what the appraiser. I couldn't get through to him, you know, I gave the paperwork that said really how to do it. He couldn't get over the rule part, and I'm like, just ridiculous, we'll just leave it alone. Anyway, and, you know, so it's practical, it's reasonable, it's not like it's exactly, you know. It's, to me, it's not quite big enough, but, you know. I need to figure the property, they're probably bigger. Which I did ask, and I asked my neighbor a few times, even though he doesn't have to. And I did ask him anyway, and I got it cleared down. That there was no way in this doctor here, and he's gonna be up. So, and I did talk to the neighbors on Hamilton, Mary. They were selling it, but they wanted to buy it. And I went over and looked at it, I had no cash. They just, you know, I went and looked at it, I brought my friend who's a landlord with me. I'm on the landlord, I knew, there's plumbing issues, there's electricity issues, those are going to look like electrical, those are the fuses, you know, that old stuff. The roofs are bad, there's 2 apartments there. And I told them I'd have to get it for like $50,000. You know what I mean, and they wanted to try to get them, Zion Craddock ended up buying it, and I did approach him. And, this is kind of like, we just sort of reaching the policy, so this is an indirect. That's what happens, and I was gonna add, because I had, talked to the, Mary, and went to, sort of, you know, third wave subdivision, you know, take it subdivision, take it along, take it along. But they didn't have it, so those are dead ends, and my other neighbor, he's like, they have no property.
Well, in that neighborhood, you're hard pressed to subdivide any of, most of your neighbors, except for Mary, maybe Jerry,
Yeah.
Jesse, I'm sorry, Jess.
Yeah. And he's conservative, he did say that, he didn't just, you know, he said that he potentially could subdivide and put it for this.
Yeah.
So, you know, economically, it is more for his financial benefit to know this.
Yeah.
So I understand.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm again, not at the mercy of that.
Yeah.
And you do have respect for that, I was just waiting for more different, and then I found out, and I was going to court, and I was like, okay, here we go. But, so I was gonna try again.
Yeah, I guess the building inspector's office was a little lax on it.
Oh, the pandemic, I think, you know,
Yeah, and then,
had everybody a little
yeah,
backlog.
okay, any questions from the board?
I just want to clarify your boundaries real quick. It's correct that the back of the shed is right on your back boundary, correct?
Yes, it's it's very close. Yeah, we're gonna,
Like 2 feet in, that's like really,
yeah, my, which is a different matter, and I don't want to go back to the, but it is a custom minutes and there were boundaries that were told to me. When
I'm more trying to get a sense of how much of
it's a
area do you have?
he was so fine that.
Okay.
That's where they give her not to be still on, it's on the other side, so. I have 6, he has 0.
You had a shed up the last time that you were here.
And it was on the other. I.
That shed, I'm assuming, did not fall within the coverage issue because it's one of those little ones.
They had added everything.
They did?
Even my basement back entrance, because it's, I actually have a picture of that. The operating basement entrance. And they even added that into that.
That's okay.
Like the built door.
Yeah,
Yeah, with the door, because I made it upright, and I said, that could never be a room with the or entrance.
But it's your footprint.
Yeah, I have old pictures of what my place was like, which is pretty bad. So I've invested a lot of money in it and. Just figuring out what the shed, garage, potential.
Yeah, you mentioned that you were going to pay more.
No, I wanted to put a little. Ramp, because that little ramp that's there, and you know, it's a little lopsided.
Yeah.
That's because I put some boards underneath it. To run my car up in it, but it was bending.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you are gonna cover more.
And so I was thinking to do the change, but you can buy something, very expensive too. The guys, durable. You know, it's a good brand. But that was fantastic.
There was, the cover was recalculated after you took the shed out.
I don't know what the recalculation for big time, and back in August and September, that wheelchair was there, and that was supposedly all part of it. So that's why I think, because I asked them to go up, and it was like calculate every little single group I had. So it went from 4% to like 6%.
Now, you redid the calculations for this variance.
I did the calculations off of the county GIS, which is more up to date with this, the shed on that, and that's, I can't remember.
Okay, but it did not include the shed she took down.
No, it was on that. It was that, it was on that, you know, where the county GIS.
Yeah, but that was.
Yeah. The county JS is. That's why I agree with that.
I'm just wondering, was there a garage on the property?
Not when I, not when I was there was a lumpy thing there, and had an extra, where that middle window is on the front part, the old part. That was actually.
Like, you put the pad, you put the pad in for the.
Yeah, there was a porch there, and there was a lot of. Just not used, and it's run down. I got it for 50,000 the first part, and then. That's crazy, but the second edition, I mean, what even at the time is not so high. Yeah, maybe I'll bet. No, I should have been. In the little house.
So. If you did, was there previous variance?
Before that, I didn't.
Not for my, for the addition. No, I went through the building and started having the engineer, and they told me, and I didn't understand at that time, I thought they were talking about my glass. That there was a lot of. Area, too much glass. So I thought I was gonna have to downsize my windows. But I think they were talking about coverage, not glass. Exposure. Because I think I don't know. And they don't remember using open to the sky, but they did not have to do variance, so I had to go to the third event.
So we do use satellite measuring to do all this, and the existing before the garage was at 31%. So it could very well be they built it to the maximum coverage. It could be, off by 1%. But yeah, so it could very well be that would be my guess that was an additional it was built to the maximum extent. So it is, it makes sense. And for the record, the old, so I knew where you were going, so this was the old one, the last. It says 10 feet to the back, but I can't really quite make sense of it. So we thought, I think we thought it was 10 feet from the property line to the rear, 5 to the side. Can't quite read, so I think that's where we're going with it.
Yeah.
And so for both of them, that's another variance, which we would have picked up on unless we knew exactly where the property.
And I was told the back line is where that. Now, there's an outside line that comes straight across the back of 14 minutes. So when I buy it from calendars, there's some. That's where you can that ended, and then you go through and find another. So those are the dimension five elements, which makes in my mind a bigger piece of property. And what it happened. Shows any of the bigger that is to legal challenge that is the actually used to show. Not somewhere where I'm going to, but then I can set up for.
Well, the tax map would hold true, it's just a matter of how accurate it is location wise. Because you own a lot, but it's X, Y by XD.
Right, but if I say that. The expense is the property line on that side, and that's that, and that's that, I can do it, so I find out. And
But that can affect how far you are from your property line, but it won't affect the area. The area is based on the tax map. And that's, I believe, the tax map to hold true no matter what a survey said.
I'm not talking about.
I realize that, but I didn't, the only thing the survey would do is locate your lot, but your lot wouldn't change in size. So,
But I need it. And you know what I'm going with that.
so how far is the fence from the back of your garage right now?
And that fence that comes out.
The fence, you said that.
Yes,
the fence- you have two
comes
fences.
out on the other side, so I have to kind of know.
But the,
I don't know.
okay. Or,
Because I do mow back there, so I guess I gotta take a couple swipes of my lawn, and I probably got this big. So I do 3 swipes of that and 1 more,
okay,
so whatever.
what about 6 feet?
It just off.
We could
So
string it on the table, like. But this is where it's gonna be right now.
my back lot, it's curved, so part of it's flat and then the rest just goes down and then it goes. Into the other lot, so. There's some of it missing.
Any other questions before you open up to the public? All right, anyone in the public want to comment? Jesse?
Yes, you can see it next door, the white portion inside. That's my house. It goes on the back. And someone mentioned something about property lines. Well, I think you mentioned that my garage is as big as yours, or a lot of something. So it is a lot bigger. My property is about twice the size of the property. So proportionally, you would say. I think there are 2 objections that I have to this requested variance. One is actually the one that's more important to me personally, is that my recollection is very strongly that garage was built without the benefit of the building permit. And there was an ex post fact of variance, I believe, for that garage because it's too close to the property. After it was built. And I believe we should be very careful in general with the situation. I'm not saying this happened here, but if it does happen, when people build things in the wrong place without the proper permits and so forth, they should not be able to come back in and say, oh, well, we already invested money in it. We have to be able to do it. Give us a variance now. When that sort of thing happens, I think it is. Personally, I don't like it. It doesn't matter where it is. I think that should not happen. We have a zoning law, and if you are not building in the right place, do that. We may have to tear it down. That's my personal objection to the variance. The second one here is that you can see we're very, very close together. Before the garage was in, it was a little bit different because there's more space there. But going down to the property lines here, I'm worried about how jammed together this sort of part of the neighborhood is. And I really don't think we should be decreasing the amount of open space around the properties. You can see there, and if you look at the sides here, the lawns, there's open space now, and this is a very, very cramped space now. Adding something to it, adding another shed to it, I don't think is good for the neighborhood. That's my main objection to that. Any questions?
Thank you.
Because that area, unless that private with authorization by another apartment, both the homes are way over the other homes. It's totally wide open. That's why I had it's like 400 feet by 200 or something. And that's the part that I was trying to surface from it. If you go back a little bit. It's all the trees, actually one of the trees fell on my shed. Okay. So there's no home there. It is open, for the most part. And the neighbor, they don't have a lot on this side. They got their porch on the back, their driveway, and then that little thin line. So comparison wise, I'm not really asking for anything that's really different. I do understand that's the south side, but that doesn't provide bigger. 20 by 35, and a shed is 8 by 12. So if you have, you know, more than double the state. I don't think it's an unreasonable request. I think if I had went through the proper protocol, I would definitely would be here, because then you'd be like, yeah, we can see that if you have to be by time, then now there's the economic injury, you getting it, working by time, or, you know, whether it do, like, it shows you pictures. In all fairness, Jeff, really, labor, Pat, both of you, that I was putting that in. And waited until I actually had it delivered 12 weeks later. And then went to the building inspector, never said to me, they're not their responsibility though, so I take full responsibility for my own. I'm sorry, not that you don't have it, you know, but, I really do feel that there's an unfairness in their action, their intent, whether, you know. I can put it in that. So.
Any other comments from the public? I'll close the public hearing portion. We have a short environmental assessment form. Number 2. Building permit. Check yes, but didn't complete it.
Yeah, actually, you had this benefit.
I'll entertain motion.
I make a motion for appeal 2345. After reviewing the short environmental assessment form. We find that there is little or no impact in the board there. In fact, in part to no or small impact may occur, line 1 through 11. And sign. I'll send it through.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Entertain motion in regards to the variances we have it. Really no discussion about minimizing it, it's kind of all or nothing. I think type of thing.
I'll make a motion that the board, review appeal 2345 at 28 South Street. To approve a Class B area variance request for the existing 14 by 20 shed, creating overage and lot coverage.
Okay. It's gonna be interesting. What this is gonna be. And the last one came through as a no, so there are 3 no's and 2 yeses. 2 members that were here last time didn't change their votes. But Did anyone want to address it or? Beat it, but if anybody wants to give their opinion. Yes or no?
I completely sympathize with your situation and that it's already existing. I think that a lot of stuff we've had to go down tonight is reading the code as written and deciding based on that. And so, although I think your garage is cute and it's in the neighborhood and it's probably very necessary, it is a lot of coverage and it's going to be very close to the property lines. So I think it is necessary.
I just felt it was too much of a variance to accept, and unfortunately we couldn't decrease it, you know. And it isn't any different than last time you came before us, or before me at least.
Yeah, that is not.
Yeah, so,
So. when
Thank
they
you.
make a letter, I'm gonna go through the- go through the docs and
okay,
Appreciate your time.
thank you.
Good luck.
Okay, 2346 Viola Stone. Sorry about the wait.
That's okay. Sometimes you go first, sometimes you go last.
Well,
I've been first before, so I'm not.
and like they say, unfortunately, the first three, due to circumstances last month, I wasn't here and all of a sudden they start dropping off and there were only two people that are gonna be there. And it's tough to get three yes votes.
I know you have your own volunteers, so thank you for being here and your time as well, so let me apologize. So my name is Eli Schwartzberg, my wife in the back, Emily, and I own the single Violet's home. We purchased it in 2019, and we are doing an expansion, as some of you are aware, kind of the zoning board in 2020. For a special use permit and some variances. I'm here tonight because our sign, the existing sign, is 30.5 square feet, which is larger than R1 zoning, and we're requesting to expand it to 45 square feet. My intent is not to, I don't feel that it's a large sign. I don't feel like it's unproportional. I'm not trying to draw additional attention to the business. I just feel that for the special use permit, which is a nursing home special use permit, and size and scope of the building in order to provide proper visibility, and also for the sign, I think it's important for the sign to match the building in scope and also material. The sign's going to have and the historic milestone, which is beautiful, kind of gray stone at the bottom. And that's also going to match the sign, so it's going to tie together the current building and provide a clear line of sight for people who are looking to understand what the new facility is, or not new center, or the addition, to be able to identify the building as a major intersection. And this sign fits very well harmoniously with the current building, in my opinion. I think it'll look really nice and match the architect's of the addition and current building as well. So that's why I'm here.
One question that came up, was that sign in the plans submitted to the planning board?
Yes, it was, yes. And the zoning board, it was on the original, the sign's actually on the approved zoning site plan, and also the planning board. It just when I was going in front of the board in 2020, I didn't want to come to you and ask for something I might want. I wanted to know, design a sign, and I knew I wouldn't be able to do that till later. And once we were able to design the sign and figure out the right size for the building, I'm back here now. So it would have been easier for me to just
do it one time, but here I am, back, getting the sign purchased.
What's the size of the sign on the plans?
Technically, yes, because the plans are to scale. So it did show a sign that I'd say, you know, from a bird's eye view, as I look at the plans, it appears that it would be even larger than what I'm asking for, but it wasn't called out and didn't show a measurement and ask for a specific variance to the sign.
And it wasn't noted as a variance.
And it was, no, it wasn't.
All right. Well, the discussion was, you know, did the planning board see it and should they see it again? Type of thing. But I don't really think that's an issue. There's no requirement that they see it.
Yeah.
But it was just a discussion point, not that we're slapping your hand or anything like that.
Yeah, I understand.
But
But yeah, the planning board is aware that a new sign is being added and they approved that they're fully aware that this is part of the project. So just me wanting to fine tune it before I got to you and make sure it's exactly what I wasn't asking for too big, more sign than I needed or too less is something that I felt would fit well with the current scope of the project.
now, the plans that we have in front of us don't specify where the sign is, or at least it's not clear. Where is it relative to Beekman
So
and Cornelia?
where's this proposed sign foundation location? So that Port Cochere, which is the purple piece,
Yeah.
where it turns pink, the vestibule, that's roughly where the current entrance to the Bios home is today. So the on the Cornelia Street, the 1994 edition, where people go in. That door, which is the main entrance, it's not the historic entrance, it's the main entrance. That just to let you know kind of where it is, so the sign location is, there's a sidewalk. And then that is a grass lawn, the yellow strip is a sidewalk, but it's grass lawn for the seniors. To there'll be picnic tables, tables and chairs and things like that, so then the Port Cochere is purple, so. This sign is in a really good location. One of the problems historically is that the historic entrance confuses people, so that's one of the problems that we had to tackle when we did the additions, because people still go to the historic entrance, even though the Cornelia Street is the new entrance with the 1994 edition. One of my pet peeves is when you do a historic building, to really make sure people know where to go, and this Port Cochere that is already approved as part of the plans will really let people know where the main entrance is. And then the sign is lined up with that to make it cohesive to the front door.
We have, do you have a current sign? Is there,
Yeah, the current sign is currently 30.5 square feet.
where is it located in relation, like, can we see it on the?
So it's on Cornelia Street, it's about, it's. If you, so where that proposed sign is, it's about 30 feet towards Beekman. Towards the intersection, so the current sign is closer to Beekman than the proposed sign. It's about, so if you went to the corner of Cornelia and Beekman, the current sign is roughly right between where the proposed sign is in that corner. So it's more towards the corner of Cornelia and Beekman current sign. But if you have an area, the best way to see it. Yeah, there it is, the saw, yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, there it is. So we're moving it about 30 feet to the left.
Where's the
Towards
West.
west, yeah, to west. Towards that greenhouse, that sign, the sign is moving towards the greenhouse.
Oh, away from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, away from
Staying
Beekman.
closer.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry.
Is there a driveway entrance off of Cornelian?
There's an exit, right turn only, so the new site plan allows people to exit onto Cornelia and turn right.
Well, I was gonna say that the sign, the design of the sign, you know, it's 9 by 7, I guess, something 9 by 5. But most of that actually is, structure. I mean, the sign itself is, you know, to me, the sign is the part between the columns, right? And it's.
Yeah.
It's really only 24.
The actual sign, is not getting higher. It's basically getting it 1 foot wider, just so we can understand. The current sign that's there, we're basically making it 1 foot wider. And then the columns, right now it's at the wood post. It's gonna be the stone. So most of the additional width is coming from having these stone columns. It's not, most of it isn't from increasing the actual sign. It's really, the
Yeah,
aesthetic to match the building.
and I wouldn't even call it an advertisement, it's not really even an advertisement.
So what, I think there would be a little confusion, the base of that sign is 22.5 square feet. But it's a double sided sign, so you gotta count both sides. Oh, so that's why it's 45.
Yes. Yes.
Are you going to have any lights?
So it's not that huge.
Yes, there are lights, there's site lighting, and there's, a sidewalk that goes right by it. So it's, there is lighting in this area and it's on this plan. And there's conduits, it's just an uplight, it's not going to be, like, a bright light. It's just gonna be enough to uplight it, just for the sign purposes, not to cast anything outside of the sign. For people driving at night, looking for the community.
Any other questions? I'll open up to the public. Anyone in the public want to comment? Sir? Okay. I figure your wife knows all about it.
Yeah, she.
I'm not here, yeah.
She's not gonna object. I will say that I think it's gonna be a really nice addition. It fits well with the area, with the building, with, what we're proposing. I think it's gonna enhance, the look of the area. The current sign is sort of, it leaves something to be desired. It's not a bad sign, but I just think that it's gonna be, a really, consistent with everything else that's happening.
And this is residential, correct? Hence the sizes. Yeah, the apartment is so small. Yeah. And granted, it is a residential facility, but the neighbors are not necessarily all residential.
Yeah, it's a special, so it's a special use permit for the nursing home in the residential district. And I believe that the square footage outside for, you know, a similar type of business would be, you know, 100. You guys know better than 100 square feet, so we're still low under.
Even though better.
I think it's around 100 square feet. But so we're well under, we're not trying to put up something, you know, we're going about a foot wider. So we're not trying to put up something that's just gonna cause a lot of tension or anything noticeable. It's really blended and actually, so in my opinion, I think it's so you'll notice it less in some respects, just because it flows with the current, what's currently there versus being like, oh, why is there a wood sign that doesn't really match everything? So I think that.
To expand on what you said too, Scott, it is an R1, but where that sign is located. Very few residences are going to actually be affected by it.
Correct. Yeah. What is a greenhouse?
Used to be a halfway house, or like a ERC.
Yes, it has it.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I didn't think it was true residential. I mean, it's a group.
I believe so.
Okay. There. As opposed to a single family.
Correct.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the next one.
Burns.
Oh, yeah, the gray one next to it. Congrats, though. Yep. All right. Short environment.
That's the one part of it.
But the verbiage is the same. I just have to consider that. So I'll entertain the motion on the seeker.
I'll make a motion to, for appeal 2346. To, approve the short environmental assessment form. The chair to check little or no environmental impact for one for level 11 and.
All in favor? Or get a second?
Oh, section.
All in favor? Aye, sorry. Yep.
So I'm gonna make a motion for appeal 2346. To approve the increase in the sign for. The Venus phone. With the. Understanding that this sign is going to be placed 30 feet to the west of the current sign.
I think, I don't want to quote that number as giving an estimate.
Okay.
There is a site plan, that shows, where it is on here, maybe there's a different way, I don't know, I'm open to, it doesn't have to be in the exact spot that it is, it's just a natural place to put it,
Well,
I don't want to commit to a certain number of.
Is that a site plan? Or no?
This has a piece of the site plan here that where it's zoomed in, and it shows the main entrance, and it shows, it shows it's 21.6 feet to the east of the sidewalk. So the main entrance is 21 feet, east towards Beekman, so it is 21 feet, away from the sidewalk, going into the building, and, it could be exactly 30 feet, I don't know exactly, I'm just giving a rough.
so I want to say that when you made the statement that it was going to be further away from the residents on Beekman Street, that made me more comfortable with this plan.
Yeah, so it is, so Beekman Street, it is further away from the residents on Beekman Street, yes.
Right,
So we could just say that it's further, that would be fine if you wanted to say that the sign is further away from Beekman Street.
well,
I can,
further could be 1 feet, but you indicated 30, so.
This site plan is accurate that was given to us. I'd say it's in just about the same place. Because there's the power pole.
Okay, you look where the sign is here, though.
Yeah.
This is the entrance you're talking about, right? over here?
yes, yeah,
So it's gonna be 20 feet, so it's probably gonna.
yeah, exactly,
Like,
yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll put, to be moved approximately 20 feet west of the current sign.
Okay.
Is that okay?
That's fine, I think you're off.
Fine.
That's, well, there's the power, and show the picture from the sidewalk that shows the old sign.
There's fence.
I realize that, but.
The new entrance is
See
that.
that gable hole that's right there?
Yeah.
That's right there.
No, you're going the other way though, right?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, looking at the site plan. The power pole shown on the site plan.
Oh.
And,
I don't have any. I think it might be the next house, all it says that.
yeah,
Can you show,
That might be the next.
you,
I think it's the next.
That might be the next. Driving west on.
Yes. Go off west a little bit. Yeah, it's that, I think it's that closer to the. You look straight at it, that's a difference, that's the entrance.
If I just could understand, so, if,
no,
it sounds like your concern is you want to make, you like that it's further away from Beekman. So we could say that it's 21 feet, that this plan does show that it's at least 21 feet. East of the sidewalk, so we could say 21 feet east of the sidewalk and west of the current sign, and then we're kind of. I think we accomplished the goal if you're just if you want to make sure that it's further from Beekman, that's just an idea.
educate us in this view. Where is the Port Cochere coming out on the building? Can you point to it? Is that gable, right?
Yeah.
It's just that little triangle.
It's more. It's more lined up with that yellow roller. A little bit to the right of that, basically a little bit right to that yellow roller, so it's just where that entrance is, it's just to the left, of Port Cochere, it covers that area there, so. So Port Cochere is in this area right here.
Okay.
To your left, there is the water.
Yeah, you can see the phase one is gonna come out, right here, it's gonna continue out, this will be removed, and when that comes out, Port Cochere will be going kind of centered with that, so basically, right in this area here.
so, to my motion, I move to approve for the, increase in signage for field 2346. With the condition that the sign be moved a minimum of 21 feet to the west of the current sign. According to your site plan,
I think it's supporting the site plan should be,
or according to the site plan.
is that, if you look at what that pole is and this pole is. I think if you say according to the site plan, it's gonna be well further.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, because you got more
So
than
in
30
accordance
feet.
with the submitted site
Site
plan.
plan.
So. Say that one more time for me, sorry, say it one more time, so I make sure I can make sure.
So the motion is to approve for the increase in the signage for field 2346. With the condition that the sign be placed in accordance with the site plan submitted.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great, thank you, that'll work well.
We just have to establish it, the site plan set.
Yeah, and I, next time I'll submit a site plan to make it easier.
No, it's fine.
They have a second before you go.
Second it. Oh, sorry.
I think people want to go home. So
It's getting light. It's like prime all over again.
Oh, don't say that. Just the sign, we're talking about. We're here. Okay.
All right. It was unanimous. Yes.
Thank you all for your time, thank you for your help.
You said thank you before I said, yeah.
I'm very excited to see the final product. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's really coming along.
Much needed. It's gonna be beautiful.
The,
Your sign is gorgeous, by the way.
thank you. The current residents are very excited.
Yeah.
We're excited to go, The Violet's home is a very special place, 130 years, and it's really it's really our honor to be able to, to expand it and also it's such an important landmark.
Oh,
Thank you all.
thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Make a motion to
I'm your neighbor. Oh, you are, good. I'm Sandy. Sandy, Eli. I'm like, what else are you doing? 60 across the street. I'm gonna break with the four pounds. Dr. Caskins.
Did that old
Say,
Read that recently?
Yeah, it's got, yeah.
23.
all in favor? Aye. Sorry about that. Well, that's, yeah. Wait, sorry about that. Yes. Sorry about the duration.